World of YouTube, true crime, a terrible sight, and everything else. Boy, this case came up in one of my either the lineup or graveyard shift, and this case, wow. I mean, if anything, this has got something to do with maybe laundering money. I believe I'm getting because this person was in some type of business. And the business is supposedly said that they never held any evidence or didn't say they would never talk to law enforcement, but in some ways they didn't reveal too much. A frantic phone call left, or maybe an infuriated phone call left this guy to be running in and out of an office, frantically running around like something had happened. Something was said to make this guy abruptly leave his place of work. And another thing with the company he worked for, they said that he previously, 6 months before, quit the business. But he was looking into something, and he also supposedly asked the boss of the place he supposedly left about masonry, Freemasonry. Now, if there's anything that I've ever heard of Freemasonry, I've heard some crazy stuff. And I don't know, man. If Freemasonry, correct me if I'm wrong, is in with the union, then yeah. Or let alone whatever this other company was. I didn't look into the company yet to see what they did. I mean, it does briefly say that what he did with the company, but it's weird. And but his death is even more stranger. And what the hell is with hotels? I mean, these hotels, man, don't get me wrong. This kind of reminds me of the Cecil Hotel. And but it is a different structure. And it's a very, fancy type structure of a hotel besides the square block of the Cecil. It's got a roof style from like England, say so. And if you look the pictures of it, it's in Baltimore, Maryland. You can see the elegance of the hotel, which I'll be showing anyways, because whoa. I mean, this is one of them stories that make you say, what the over 100 times. And I don't know if this guy found out about laundering money. Maybe, I'm thinking maybe. Or something he found out in the company or whatever he was doing, I believe led to his demise. And, for this to even happen, it's supposedly still ruled of a homicide. Now, once again, I went through 2 articles. The first article didn't even say what Wikipedia said. Sometimes Wikipedia misses stuff, but this article, compared to Wikipedia, the article missed something that Wikipedia didn't. And it talked about how this guy literally fell 13 stories and went through a hole in a roof in another part of the hotel. Which I got that screenshot too. But whatever was said on the phone that day, And for whatever reason why this guy was, in my eyes, hunted down and murdered was obviously just going to be a total mystery because, of course, law enforcement, like I said, got this as a suicide. And I will put up the full stories, the 2 articles I read in the description box, because it's like, damn. It is mind-blowing. There's a lot of cases out there that are mind-blowing, but this one, I can honestly say is... Because, for one, there's a nightclub in this hotel that this guy went to frequently. Bear with me. God dang it. And this is the only reason why I could see why he would end up on the roof of this hotel and drop into his demise. As I believe he was forced to the roof. And of course, go figure, surveillance, I guess, cameras, and it was in 2006 that this happened. So I'm for damn sure there had to been maybe some surveillance. But go figure, the surveillance on this was, I don't know if it was at the hotel or at the office or somewhere along the lines. Go figure, the surveillance was screwed up, so say. A lot of twists and turns in this case, too. And not getting the story right. And of course, the surveillance being messed up for some apparent reason. Always suspicious, but still suicide. These are the cases that don't get properly looked at. And one other thing is right, hopefully, well, I'm sure now they might have done it now, but to not have surveillance on this side of the hotel where people could have access, you would think and it's like the Cecil Hotel in ways. I want to mention this before I forget, that is a hotel and it's a friggin', they got permanent residency there, part of the building type thing like the Cecil. So it's like, what the hell are people doing? Why are they doing this is beyond me, but for not having surveillance, and you can have any old person wander on in, murderer, rapist, with these days, like I say, I advise everybody to get friggin' surveillance. Doesn't matter. If you don't have nothing to hide, then you should have proper cameras, is right. Because, I'll tell you, man, after you hear this case, it might make you want to think twice. And another thing in this case is the things that happened to him. This guy wrote a note right here, Rivera. His name is Rey Rivera, 32 at the time, 6'5". And the pictures say 1,000 words. Guy looks like good guy. He looks down to earth in his pictures. He don't look like someone you could say would get into something messy. But if he would have gotten into something messy, he's probably one of them people that are, very fidgety with kind of stuff like that, getting whoa. And when things start happening, and when you're not into the proper mind, say so, to get into, say so, circumstances that are not you, whatever he was doing, and I can't say what he was doing, I can't make even something up, but whatever he was doing, he quit one job trying to go to the Freemasons or whatnot, and getting into that, I think is some kind of, because the union is what made Jimmy Hoffa disappear, fighting the union. And I ain't saying nothing about him, but when you got funny stuff like that going on, and you're getting into this kind of situation for yourself. Yeah, things happen. But this has got two things. It could have either been that or the job he quit. And it does point kind of sort of to the job he quit. But once again, it's got to do with what they were doing in that job is right. You got to think of that. Was it legit? So, but what he did on this note was make movie references of what was going to happen. Now, a premeditated suicide and thinking of, and one of the movies, I forget, but it will say into the, it will say in the article when you read it, had a movie scene where someone was dropped off a hotel roof or thrown off, murdered, whatever. So I mean, you could sit there and say this guy knew something, or you can sit here and say, yeah, he committed suicide. But this right here, what Wikipedia says of trying to fall off this roof, and the way it happened and where the hole was positioned, there was no chance in hell that he could have just jumped off the roof and killed himself. Because say, I'm going to try and think of it. Say that this is the roof and the hole in the next roof connected to the building, say so, was over here. And the roof on the hotel has this extra ledge that goes around the roof. And in order of you to get over that, and you'll see it in a minute, but you would, then it says it right here, if you're reading this, that he would have had to run and sprint and jumped over all this to get to this and put the hole in that, ceiling to the next building. And not only that being said, he had a phone that was laying here and his glasses were laying on the side. Now, who in the hell is going to jump off the roof and say, I'm going to hit impact, throw his phone and glasses, and find them on the outside of the hole? If that's the case, and he had phone and glasses, they should have been on him, bang, when he went into the hole, and then smashed on the floor below with his body. But nope, it was a staged scene. It's suicide. It's suicide. So with that being said, and as you can see, say so, with this little diaphragm of how in the hell his body got way over here, and he had to run and jump over this. He had to ran, they said in this, 10 miles an hour. And he would have needed running shoes. But the case of the matter is, he had flip-flops. And the flip-flops, mind you, had drag marks. One was broken out of the, the shoe, like he was dragged, because he had to have been either beaten up beforehand and dragged to where he was brought. And that's another thing. I know for one thing, I tried wearing flip-flops one time in my life for one summer, and I'd never do it again. For one, I don't like the plastic in between your toes, say so, or even the cloth, it doesn't even matter. In between my two toes, it aggravates the crap out of me. And trying to run in flip-flops, I've watched my kids 100 times, because my wife always had to go and buy them flip-flops. Bust them things right out because they're running in them. It's like, why do you keep running in them? So, she's over here complaining, oh, they broke their flip-flops. I said, yeah, because they think they're running shoes. So I always have this every year when they buy flip-flops, and they're sitting there running like ding-dongs, and the thing pops out. Poof. And then the thing breaks, right? Then you gotta go buy more. It's like, Jesus. And in this case, yeah, these flip-flops were dragged. They had drag marks on them. So whoever dragged them across the roof from wherever they got on to not be seen, that's how the flip-flops broke. And even at that, I don't even think a flip-flop would break. If you think about it, jumping off a building, even if you do get a good run in, and you have to step up on a thing anyways to get off of this roof, it's either going to fall off, you're going to trip over it. There's no way and chance in hell you're going to do a 10-mile-an-hour sprint and jump off a building in flip-flops. So with that being said, and even the phone and the glasses right on the side of the hole, it didn't go in the hole, it was on the side of the hole, right where he went in. And they still consider this a damn suicide. Oh no, the coroner did breach it to unknown type thing, right? So we read all this, and it's a mansard roof. Considerable horizontal distance between the hotel tower and the location of the hole in the lower roof. The vertical distance approximately 177 feet. Building height 188 feet 57 meters would have taken approximately 3.3 seconds. This suggests if he did come from the roof and travel a horizontal distance, like I showed you, off the roof over, would have had to have horizontal speed of 10 miles per hour, which is between fast jog and a sprint for an average fit male wearing sports shoes, wearing flip-flops, barefoot, and would have had a maximum run over 15 feet or 5 meters. An additional theory is that Rivera may have jumped from a ledge several floors below the roof, but would have been difficult for Rivera to access ledge from privately owned condominiums and offices that had windows on the ledge. So, yeah, I don't think someone's gonna, unless no one was home and he's knocking on doors to check for, an empty room so he could jump off, but still. I don't think someone's going to say, hey, come on in. You want to do what? Oh, jump off the roof? Okay. Or let alone have a stranger come up to your door. And it was on and that's what makes it fishy. Very fishy. Rivera's eyeglasses and phone were found relatively intact on the lower roof near the hole because circumstances surrounding the incidents are unclear. The medical examiner marked Rivera's manner of death of undetermined. According to Stansberry, this is the employer, that he said Rivera quit 6 months earlier. Was no gag order or direction given to employees to not speak to the press, law enforcement, or any other party, which he's backing his story up. After searching the house for evidence, Allison found a note behind Rivera's computer. The confusing note included names of prominent figures in Hollywood, movie titles, Freemasonry, quotations, and additional ramblings. The Federal Bureau of Investigation analyzed the note and ruled it not to be suicidal in nature. Police would soon step back from their investigation into the case after ruling Rivera's death as a possible suicide. Laziness. So here we have the hotel. Now I'm going to say there's the Owl Bar. This is where he frequently went, and I believe this was like in between floors or something. I didn't check what floor it was on, but and this looks something like the Cecil Hotel from the top, boy. But as you can see, there's the roof and how it's pitched. You have this overlap in the ledge. Now, in order to run, and I want to say he either got thrown and hit this roof or in here. I don't know which sides the condominiums are on. But in order to get to where no one would see you, would be, either in here, because there's the parking garage here. So it had to happen in either one of these places and thrown over. Because if he was to jump just right there, in the steepness of this ledge and stuff, he would have hit that in some way. He would have to have ran, like they said, ran and jumped. He could not have just jumped and pushed him, because he would have just flopped and hit something right there. So someone literally took his body and threw it over to make it look like a suicide. And when you're dealing with 3 or 4 people, and whatever he found out or whatever he was interacting with the business or even the masonry, who knows? But I think it's got the strong do with the business. He found out something or he knew something, and he had to be erased from existence. So he went out, and if he went to I think it does say that he went to the Owl Bar, and whoever he met there, which it don't even say if he met anybody. Someone could have been in there just watching him, and when he got ready to leave, followed him out, knocked him out, dragged him to the roof, threw him off. And that's what I think happened. And, of course, there's no surveillance. And what they do have of surveillance is got all messed up. Go figure. Go figure. So I gave this picture to show you the throw over and how the ledge is. Now, I don't know what they're saying, how he went below and could have went down below and jumped off a ledge. I don't know if they're talking about there's no ledge around the building itself. So whether or not he got into one of them windowsill ledges, then jumped off. But like it said, private homes, condominiums. How would he do that? Here's the original article. Oh no, this is a book, sorry. I believe this is a book by Makita Brotman. And there it is right there, as you can see. I mean, he would be able to jump off that. But still, I think he'd have to push or at least run a little bit to get out. But where they say the hole was, and it was more way out, right, there's no way in hell he would have been able to just jump and hit that hole without running and jumping, because it was further away from the building. Where his body was, it had to have been thrown, and where it landed. And I don't think pushing yourself, just standing there and just push yourself, it wouldn't have pushed you that far out to say where the hole was. No way is right. Here is the hole. So you got to remember, we're not talking about the roof and jumping here, where it would be, up at the top. This ain't the actual top roof. This is a smaller version, but as high as they went. If he did jump off, but I don't think the building matches up this way. He had to have jumped this way down, or this way down. Either or, it had to have been this way. Either way from each hotel. This way would have made it look like he jumped off the roof, but that ain't where, he was thrown. He was thrown either from the left, the top to bottom. And as you can see, the distance compared to right, if he would have had to have jumped straight down, that would make sense, but that ain't how it happened. Look at the distance. This way would have been off the top of the roof. So that means he was thrown. Look at the distance. And if it was the other way, it'd be the same thing. The distance. From top way over, bang. That's a good distance. And the biggest thing of all is when the phone and glasses are found on the outside of the hole. If you jump, your stuff goes with you. No way in hell he could have held on to it and just throw him off just before impact. That's ludicrous to me. I don't know anybody that would friggin'... And as you can see, here's the distance from the article, how far it would look. I'm sure this is from the other side. And this is from the other side of the standpoint. So he didn't jump this way. He got either thrown off this way or thrown off that way. And look at the distance in between, right? Because you can see the sidewalk down here. This way would have been perfect to make it close to the building. But that ain't where he was thrown. So that means someone threw his body, threw it like that. It had to have been thrown and it went, ooh, poof. And look at the distance, that is as much as you would have to throw that body. And they're claiming, right, where that standpoint was is where he got thrown. But still, it was a suicide. It was a suicide. I don't know, even if you think about it coming from this way too, he still had to be thrown. But I believe he was thrown either from this point or this point. Because to get on that roof was only one access. And they planned where they wanted him to be thrown. So by looking at that, and I still think back here he could have been, I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, I'm kind of thinking, right, if anybody says it, oh, you get thrown here and it'll hit close to the building, but I don't know. They said it was from one of the towers. So I assume these are the towers. Whatever the case may be, I will throw up the full articles a little later. I mean, it should be up when I get this video up, but this is one crazy death, boy. One crazy death. And, of course, another hotel. Just like the Cecil. Insane. But they ain't got no water tanks up there. Yeah. As you can see, folks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. One more thing, even if he was to come this way, he still have to push himself off. See that dip? Because if he did a normal jump, if he was to jump and do a normal jump, it would be here. And he'd be very close. I don't know. I don't think it was any suicide. Because the phone and the glasses, it was staged. So say what you will, say what you think. Everybody has their own thoughts, theories, ideas, but me, I think this guy was literally murdered. And for whatever reason, it's still the question, and will it ever be revealed? Of course not. Will it get any more investigated? Nope. It's not like they can say they have DNA, they have evidence, because this guy just, people probably wearing gloves, knocked him out, dragged him up, threw him off. Hopefully they got cameras on this whole building now, but who knows? Will it ever happen again? Will this be another Cecil motel? Is the question. But hotels, motels, all of them places got very, very, sinister things that happen. And like I said, he must have been followed there. Something he did or something he knew had to be eliminated. I'm going to keep my eye on this case. But I don't know. They're already saying that, oh, it was a suicide. I'm about to say they threw him off right here. Because that's how they get the picture. And right, wherever the hole may be, that's another question. Hey, where the hell did that go? Because, get this. If the hole was down here, or close to the building, right, you gotta pass the roof. This. So if they threw him this way, and it came down, say so it was there, you still gotta surpass that roof either way. And I'm thinking it was this way because of how the picture is looking down towards that side of the building. So it looked like the body was directly in the middle, so that right, leaped over. And if they probably came up with the fact that if it went this way and it was that close, he would have hit something in this way. He would have hit that ledge or something. Oh, and that's another thing. He did have broken bones, everything, but the way some of them were broken, the head, if he fell on his head or his, back or whatever, the injuries, right, would have impacted with one severe injury, not just one severe injury, but one breaking or something, but the head was repeatedly smashed. And that was something that other caught my attention. So if he dropped and his head hit, you'd get one huge split skull. It would not be fractured in different places. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's in the article I read, he had more multiple, smash in the head, I guess, than just a crack falling down. But, the severity of that drop would have friggin'... It's just the way he was found and the body bones were broken. Something didn't add up. So that was another thing. So undetermined is the autopsy, which that is a good thing, but suicidal, leaving it at that, that's bad. It's sick. It's sick what goes on. Case is not fully examined right or investigated right. But until that next video, be safe, take care, always beware, because you don't know if you'll ever end up like this, and that would be very devastating to see. You gotta watch your backs out there, people. You gotta watch your back. Out.